Let's complete chapter 8, The Secret Garden. This is part 2. At the end of part 1, we knew that Mrs. Medlock said to Mr. Craven that Collins very strange. He looks better. Let's complete page 56. Look at your page. It's true, but some days he eats nothing at all, and other days he eats just like a healthy boy. He used to scream even at the idea of fresh air, but now he spends all his time outside in his wheelchair. Underline please, he spends all his time outside in his wheelchair with Miss Mary and Deacon Sorby. He is in the garden at the moment. In the garden, repeated Mr. Craven. Those were the words of the dream. He hurried out of the house and toward the place which he had not visited for so long. Oh, Mr. Craven went to the secret garden now. He found the door with the climbing plant over it and stood outside listening for a moment. Surely I can hear voices inside the garden. He can hear voices, yes, in the garden. They call them Mary and Colin voice. He thought, aren't there children whispering, laughing, running in there, or I am going mad? Or I am going mad. And then the moment came when the children couldn't stay quiet. There was wild laughing and shouting, and the door was thrown open. Oh, the door was open. A boy ran out, a tall, healthy, handsome boy, straight into the man's arms. Mr. Craven stared into the boy's laughing eyes. Who? What? Who? He cried. Colin had not planned to meet his father like this, but perhaps this was the best way to come running out with his cousin and his friend. Father, he said, I'm Colin. You can't believe it, I can't believe it myself. It was the garden and Mary and Deacon that made me well. We have kept it a secret up to now. Aren't you happy, Father? I am going to live forever and ever and ever. Mr. Craven put his hands on the boy's shoulders. Underline, please. Mr. Craven put his hands on the boy's shoulders. For a moment he couldn't speak. And underline, for a moment he couldn't speak. Take me into the garden, my boy, he said. Mr. Craven said to Colin, take me into the garden, my boy, he said at last, and tell me all about it. And in the secret garden, where the roses were at their best and the butterflies were flying from flower to flower, turn over the page. Yes. Can you see this picture? This is Colin when he was running into his father's arms, and this is Mary, and can you see the secret garden? It looks beautiful. Page 58. Let's complete, and this is the last page in our story, The Secret Garden. This is Mr. Craven and his son. Okay, in the summer sunshine, they told Colin's father their story. Sometimes he laughed and sometimes he cried, but most of the time he just looked unbelieving into the handsome face of the son that he had almost forgotten. Now, said Colin at the end, it isn't a secret anymore. I'll never use the wheelchair again. I'm going to walk back with you, Father, to the house. And so that afternoon, Mrs. Medlock, Martha, and the other servants had the greatest shock of their lives. Through the gardens towards the house came Mr. Craven, looking happier than they had ever seen him, and by his side, with his shoulders straight, his head held high, and a smile on his lips, walked young Colin. Now, guys, we have finished our story, The Secret Garden. Let's practice it. Quotation: Take me into the garden, my boy, and tell me all about it. Take me into the garden, my boy, and tell me all about it. Do you remember who said this? Yes, Mr. Craven. To whom? Colin. Why was the speaker surprised when he said these words? Because he saw Colin as straight as any other boy. Yes. So again, take me into the garden, my boy, and tell me all about it. Who said this? Mr. Craven. To whom? Colin. Why was the speaker surprised when he said these words? Because this is the first time that he saw Colin, and he saw a tall, healthy, handsome boy straight into the arm, as straight as any other boy. Okay, complete. Now Colin spends all his time outside in his, yes, wheelchair. Number two, Mr. Craven put his hands on the boy's, yes, shoulders. For a moment, Mr. Craven couldn't speak. Yes, now we have finished our story, guys.